Today I'm speaking with Wayne Meyers. Wayne, what positions did Dana have when she was at Fourth?
She began as a half-time minister of mission and then grew into full-time minister of mission and then eventually became the executive associate pastor, which was more administrative role.
And how long was she there?
We moved to Oak Park, Illinois in September 1996. I remember that because we had the moving truck unload everything, and then we got in the car and drove down to the outdoor theater down, I don't know where that is, South Side, and saw Neil Young and Crazy Horse, and Dana was 3 months pregnant. It was quite a day. So we moved in there, and I believe she started part-time in the spring of 1997 and was there until she died.
And what drew Dana to Fourth?
Well, it's interesting. We met in seminary, Princeton Seminary, and many clergy couples were negotiating how they were going to go. Will we alternate calls or something? And we negotiated that I would, because I felt called to preach, and she did not at the time, that I would be the lead. We would go follow my call, and then she would find a position wherever we ended up. In retrospect, if you looked at our careers, you'd think she was the lead, because in Memphis, after seminary, she eventually became the minister of mission at Idlewild Presbyterian, downtown Memphis, the big church. And I was out in the suburbs. And so we moved to Oak Park, same deal. I'm in the suburbs. And I think it was Jim Lowry, who was the pastor at Idlewild, got in contact with John Buchanan. And that's how that connection was made. The rest is history, but she began part-time and pregnant and had the boys in April 97. And then after whatever maternity, went back, and there she was.
It's great. So can you name one or two people who had a particular influence on Dana, like personally, professionally, and or spiritually during her time at Fourth?
Well, there's so many. Tom and Sue Skemper, who also lived in Oak Park, were very instrumental and supportive. Mark Miller, the wonderful Mark Miller, was super important, was probably her best friend in the church for much of the time. And then there was the I don't know what to term them, Bill Golderer and Callum McLeod. The three of them were just, like a running battery. They just had so much energy together, and that was a real wonderful time in the life of Fourth Pres, I would think, when they were all together.
What do you think her proudest accomplishment was at Fourth?
Navigating change. There's always a change there, and she started a whole lot of mission initiatives. And, you had the community garden, you had numerous things. But as I look back, she just loved the growth of the mission benefit. And during that tenure, for a time, it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I remember it started at some smaller hotel, and eventually by the end, it was at the Four Seasons or the Ritz or something like that. And it was colossal.
What do you think was her proudest accomplishment at Fourth, if you could just kind of pick one thing?
Well, that's hard to say. I think probably the move to executive associate pastor just kind of, for her, kind of proved that she was capable in a big church to take on that level of responsibility and to do it well. She and Callum, to me, and Bill, while he was there much sooner than we would have liked, they really were the ones who sought to make connections within the congregation. And they knew so many people socially and in a good way that really kind of created that sense of belonging. And that was an important other role beyond the administrative role that she had.
People loved Dana so much. I mean, everybody wanted to know her better. I remember going over to Bloomingdale's and buying her some pink patterned tights because she was known for her, really lovely outfits and kind of the non-traditional clergy outfits. And I wanted to be part of that and give her some pink pattern tights.
Yeah. I think I have, it might be apocryphal, but I believe the origin of those tights began. Dana was kind of a rebel. I don't know if you knew her that way. So Princeton Seminary, 3 years of seminary, we come to graduation, and she is livid that they won't give us our diploma until we turn in our cap and gown. And she made that a point. She says, you're sending us out to be ministers in the world, and you don't trust us to turn in our cap and gown. And so what did she do? Her family all came up from Mississippi to come to graduation. She didn't march. She sat in the audience. So, and this might be the one story to share, I believe the origin of her flamboyant tights or stockings or whatever began because when she started at Fourth, women couldn't wear pants to work. She had to wear a skirt. So I believe her quiet protest was, if I have to wear a skirt by your rules, I'll wear very, very noticeable stockings, tights, whatever, in my silent protest. And so that carried forward from there. But eventually they were allowed to wear pants to work. But you can see how that was her.
So do you have a particular story that stands out about Dana's time at Fourth?
Well, that one for sure. But we went to Cuba with John and a number of other folks on a mission trip for World Communion Sunday back in 2003, maybe, or 2000. I don't exactly know. But I just have this picture of her. We're at the hotel in Havana, the main one, the big one. And we're out on the back patio and we're listening to a Cuban band play. Some people are dancing and Dana has her feet up on the table, a cocktail in one hand, and she's smoking a cigar. That's a good image, I think, to leave everybody with who knew her.
Is there anything else you'd like to add before we sign off?
No, she loved the church, and it was a wonderful for me, and particularly when she was ill for so long. The support we got from Fourth Presbyterian was above and beyond, and it really put forth the grace and love of God through a group of people. It was couldn't have made it without y'all.